Eric Bergstrom here with former NFL great and Crivets alum, Pete Banaszak. Pete, thanks so much for joining me today.
No problem, no problem.
How did it feel when you found out that the NFL was going to honor you and Crivets High School with the gold football?
Well, I was kind of flattered and honored to be, picked to be one of the guys to, celebrate kind of be an ambassador for the NFL, really, what it comes down to, and honoring all the high schools where former athletes and coaches came from. And, I look back, and my high school days were really awesome days. I growing up as a young man up in Crivets, I learned a lot, and I'm just really humbled and honored that I have an opportunity to honor the high school I went to.
Do you actually get to keep in contact with any of your old high school mates?
Yes, several of them I get calls from, and not as much as I used to. I used to hear from them a lot when I was playing, but I get to talk to a few of my friends like Dave Burberry and Tom Curtis and some of the guys that I was close to in high school and hung around with. So I hope I get a chance to see them when I come up there.
Being an ambassador for the NFL, but in a way, coming back home, you're being an ambassador for Crivets High School as well.
Well, yeah, it is, and I'm excited for high school, and I'm excited to present a couple of gold footballs that they can put in their trophy case or do whatever they want to do with them and play a game with them. But
there you go.
I have a lot to be thankful for, and I had great parents and great family growing up in Crivets, and that's still home to me. I don't tell people when they ask where I'm from, I don't tell them I'm from Green Bay or Milwaukee or anything. I tell them I'm from Crivets, and of course they always say, "Where's that?"
Exactly.
And I got to tell them it's 50 miles north of Green Bay. But I'm really, as I said before, very humbled and honored that they would pick me to be part of it, and Crivets High School to be part of this 50th year celebration of the Super Bowl.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. I read in high school you thought of becoming a priest. How'd you go from that to being with the big bad wild Raiders?
That's quite a transition, isn't it?
Right.
Well, my mother's, her ambition and was to always see one of her sons maybe become a priest someday. And actually, I was an altar boy for 16 years. So,
wow.
So she had those strong expectations. But when I went off to college and found out what was on the other side of the hill, I kind of changed my mind.
Speaking of college, how'd you end up at Miami of Florida?
Well, a true story. And the honest one, that's the only place I had an offer.
Okay.
And, the only place that the only people I heard from was one time there was in my high school days back in Crivets, an ex-coach and scout from the University of Miami who lived in Chicago was up in High Falls fishing on vacation, and it rained this particular Friday, so he went to a high school football game and saw me playing. That's how I really ended up getting down to Miami.
Wow.
It was. I had some good teams to play on, and really got a taste of what football's all about at the University of Miami. And plus, the most important thing, I got my degree, and that's something golden. I know my father drummed in my head that you're not going to college for 4 years, to just play football. He says, when you walk out of there, you got better have your degree. So I couldn't come home till I got my degree.
There you go. When did you first start thinking you could be an NFL player?
Well, it's kind of funny coming from Crivets. There's not really a large enrollment, as we all know, and I remember there was probably about 25 guys on the football team, and but something. When you go down, when I went down there, I was kind of really, actually, to be honest with you, very scared. And but when I got on the field and I looked at some of these guys, and they were bigger than me. Some were bigger, stronger, faster. but I always persevered and gave it my best shot, and I could tell that I was just as good as they were. You know, I had it in my own mind that I could play with these guys, and of course, I was very fortunate that my sophomore year I became a starter. After having a good freshman year down there, I was a starter as a sophomore, and then I got banged up a little bit and had to miss probably about 5 ball games because of pulled hamstring muscles. But my junior and senior year, I came back in good shape and really had some pretty good years. And I was drafted by the Raiders yet when there were 2 leagues. There was the American Football League and the National Football League. And this was the year I graduated in I believe it was 67, was the last year, and the next year it was they were going to merge the 2 leagues. And I was drafted number 5 by the Raiders, and the Rams showed a lot of interest in me, and I remember them calling me and calling my father that if they wanted the guarantee that I would sign with the NFL, because they kept saying the NFL is better than the AFL. And but you know, I wasn't just a country pumpkin from Privet. I knew that it was pretty simple to do arithmetic, and they offered me more money. So and when they said they were going to pay me $15,000 my first year and $17,500 my second year with a no-cut contract and give me a $100,000 signing bonus,
wow,
I knew where I was going.
Yeah, that made the decision easy.
And today that kind of money is peanuts, you know. But to me, it's still a lot of money. But really, I was very fortunate to be in the Raiders drafted me in the 5th round, and that's when there were 17 picks and 17 rounds of that made up the draft for each team. But I was fortunate when I made the move from college to pro football. Was, oh my God, this is oranges and apples. I mean, the game is so much faster, and it's much more complex. And I really didn't think I would probably have a chance of making the Raiders my first year, but I thank God that I had the no-cut contract, so they had to pay me, and I had my bonus money. Incidentally, my bonus money, when they paid me, and they paid me in a lump sum, 2 weeks later I had to write a check to the U.S. government for $48,000.
Oh, my goodness.
So I really didn't have much left of that bonus, but anyway, I was drafted by the Raiders when I told them that I was going to play with them, and then the next year, my first year, I didn't really play much. And matter of fact, I played all special teams, and I think I carried the ball about 17 times for -7 yards. You know, not very good.
No.
And I thought, geez, after this year, you know, I said if I didn't have that no-cut contract, they'd probably cut me. I'd be, you know, selling cars or trying to teach school somewhere, or, you know, put my degree together or get some kind of job. But lo and behold, the second year, how fate works once in a while is that we had a running back by the name of Clement Daniels, who was an all-pro running back with the Raiders, and another guy from Arizona State ahead of me. And this is when the roster was only 33 people, so they only kept 5 running backs on a team. And they kept me. I was a 5th running back, and we played about 6 or 7 games, and after that 7 games or so, both running backs got hurt in front of me, and I was the only one left. And I knew they'd have to use me or get rid of me anyway. But Madden came up to me and said, "Banaszak," he says, "can you do it?" And I said, "Well, I think I can." And he screamed in my ear. He says, "Don't with an attitude like that. You know, if you're not sure you can do it, tell me right now." And I said, "Oh no, I can do it." Well, as I went to church every day that week, and lo and behold, we were playing the Kansas City Chiefs on Thanksgiving Day in Kansas City, and my mom and dad were at the game, and I think I ran for about 104 yards and scored a touchdown. And really that game opened the door for me. And then of course all those newspaper people and everything asked Al Davis, where was he? Where you been hiding this guy and everything? And Al says, "Oh, I knew he could do it all along." And I wanted to say like hell you did, but anyway, that was my break. And when and I was a lot more comfortable my second year because I knew the system, and I felt comfortable. I knew the guys and knew what I was doing, and so it ended up in 13 years later. Of course, that year we went to the Super Bowl, and I was starting against the Packers and Vince Lombardi's Packers down there, and of course we battled in the first half. I think it was 12-10 or something like that in the first half, but that perhaps might have been the greatest team I ever played against because you made one mistake against them and they made you pay for it. And but what was so unique about that was my dad used to take me to Packer games, and I always idolized the Ray Nitschke's and the Paul Hornings and the Jim Taylors and the Bart Starrs and Max McGee and 6 years later, I find myself playing against them. Yeah. It was like I came out of the huddle the first time, and I wanted to walk across the line of scrimmage and get their autograph first. So it was a thrill to play against them, and then that really game the Raiders kind of grew up, and I certainly did to know, to think and know what kind of caliber of football you got to play to compete. And of course, after that, I should have been in more Super Bowls. I got a chance to be in two. Won one, lost one, but I was in the AFC playoffs for 10 years. Out of those 13 years, I was in there 9 or 10 times, and played against the Steelers and the Dolphins, and in crucial games that we could have won, I thought, but we didn't. So coulda, woulda, shoulda. I should have been in more Super Bowls. Is the bottom line. What I feel even to this day, but we didn't. So, but. It is what it is, and I had a great career, and I am very blessed and thankful that I grew up where I did. I never felt that I got too big for my britches, and I still don't believe that. And I always had good support from the people back in Crivets, and really the whole MO conference. People would I'd get letters from people not only from Gillette and Marinette, but Green Bay, of fans, football fans, and just saying that I live in a certain town and you're from Crivets and we really follow you and this and that, and that's a good feeling to have. Definitely.
I wanted to ask you, how'd you get the nickname Rooster?
Well, I even when I was a little kid, I had this real bad colic on my hair, and my hair to this day, even though it's getting a little thinner up there, but then once in a while when I take a shower, it stands straight up like a rooster tail.
Okay.
I got that nickname in college, and it followed me to the pros, and it followed me all along. So I've been known as the Rooster. So
it's to do with the hair. I thought it was something something else, something a little deeper than that, but just with the hair, huh?
No, I swear that's what it is.
What does Al Davis mean to you?
Well, Al was a good man. I mean, he was probably one of the key person, and one of the key cogs and force in the NFL AFL merger. But he was a good man. If you were a player for him, if you played your guts out and you gave him everything you had, he took care of you, and he was very good to me. People always ask me about Al Davis, and I'll never say anything bad about Al because he was good to me. He gave me. Sometimes we would argue and fight over contracts and bonuses and stuff after a good year, and he was tough to deal with. He'd always tell me, "You goddamn running backs are a dime a dozen. Don't now get out of here, and I'll see you at practice." But he also wrote me checks during the course of the season. You're doing a great job, and I'm not talking $500 checks. I'm talking in the thousands of saying you're doing a good job. Keep it up, and look forward to negotiating your contract with you. And after the first 6 years, we never had a problem. We didn't make the money these guys made today, but we were on in a period of time when the salaries were escalating fast. They were going up. So there's a tremendous difference what I made my first year and what I retired making. So and he was good to me, and it's because of football I got really a head start in life. And I think it's a real tribute to the NFL that they're going to honor all the recognized the schools and the communities and the players of a great sport and basically Super Bowl history. And Crivets is really a part of Super Bowl history. So I'm excited about that, and it's a good feeling to when you meet other players on other teams and after your career, and you can meet at the banquets and dinners and golf tournaments and stuff. You always look out the corner of your eye to see who wears a Super Bowl ring.
Yeah, right.
And that's kind of symbolic. And when you wear a Super Bowl ring, there's ultimate respect, and that's a good feeling. And of course, there's been a lot of great athletes that never won one, like Dan Marino and some guys, that you would think would be at least on a couple Super Bowl teams, but it's very fortunate, the chosen few, and I just thank the good Lord that He gave me the strength and intestinal fortitude that we got there and won one.
For the young listeners out there, they know John Madden through video games, but he was your coach. What was he like as your coach? Well,
he was his idol was Vince Lombardi, and he was a kind of a. Be honest with you, I frankly was tired of. He kind of burned me out. After 13 years of football, because John was tough, but he was fair, and you got to remember back in those days, every weird guy that came down the pike in the NFL seemed to end up on the Raiders.
Definitely.
Yeah, it was like one flew over the cuckoo's nest around that locker room a lot of times.
I can imagine.
He had to deal with the Matuzaks and the Elzados and the Hendricks and those type of guys, but he could convince you to buy into his program, and we believed and trusted in him, and if we did what he told us to do, we won, and we knew that. So he had no problem motivating us. I think John's biggest asset is he was more of a psychologist than a coach. He knew what buttons to push on each guy. He knew, like me, that he said, Banaszak, I got to stick my size 15 shoe up your butt to get you, and he'd chew my butt out. And then guys like Stabler, he would say, well, Kenny, I love you. You threw 5 interceptions last week, but you're still our number one quarterback, and you're going to play, and don't worry about getting benched. And Snake would go out and he'd throw 5 touchdown passes the next week.
Yeah.
So you knew what buttons to push on each guy, but when he got us all together, he got us all functioning pretty well together as a team, and he was strictly a team concept coach type of guy. We're going to do what's best for the team. So he was a great coach. Got a lot of stories. He's always tell us the only way the easy street's through the sewer. And a lot of times after I got done playing, I've been in the sewer. You know what I mean?
Yeah. During training camp in Santa Rosa, it said that you were the leader when it came to going to the bars.
Oh, well, I don't know about that, but we had a good time. We were a close-knit bunch. We were a bunch of guys that all came up together with the Raiders, Upshaw and Shell and myself and Blitnikoff and Stabler, and we had one grandfather on the team who to me was the greatest competitor I have ever been around, George Blanda, but George fitted in right with us, and we had a circuit every night when we would finish our meetings at night, and after 2 days of practice, after 2 practices that day, and we were out on the field in pads, both for our morning practice from 9 to 11 and our afternoon practice from 3 to 5, and then we would have a meeting from 7 to 9 at night, and then curfew at 11 o'clock, and so those 2 hours we had off, we knew how to get in more. We probably hit more bars than anyone ever thought we could. we had a thing we called the circuit, and we had that. We would stop at every bar that night, and the people really, it's amazing when you win. You have the run of the town, but it was fun, and we developed a close knit bunch, and it was part of our camaraderie that we had, and really it carried right onto the playing field.
You dormed at the El Rancho, is that right?
Yeah, the old El Rancho, yeah, room 147.
Well, who'd you room with, and what kind of stuff went on there?
I roomed with Stabler and Blitnikoff and a guy by the name of Dan Connors. There were 4 to a room. We had a suite, and we had it for 13 years, every year. And we would be in training camp for 8 weeks back in those days.
Yeah, a long time.
Yeah, so it was sometimes we got a little exuberant,
As young people do, right?
Yeah, and but we never got in trouble, and we kind of kept each other out of trouble, and but we were kind of called the leaders of the pack. We'd organize the rookie parties and everything, and we were in charge of the social.
you were the social director. Sounds like you and Kenny Stabler had some wild times and a great friendship. What was your friendship like?
Well, it was good. Kenny was a great kid. Of course, as we all know, he passed away recently, and I had a hard time with it. I admit. But he was a very private person about his personal life, which I respected. And but Kenny, he lost a big battle with the big C, the cancer.
Yeah.
He started out with prostate cancer and thought they had it in check, but really it ended up as colon cancer about 5 months later. And when they diagnosed it, it was already at stage 4, and so it was a tough thing to lose him. And Kenny is truly he was a great player, a great competitor, and a great person and a great guy. I was very close to him, like brothers, and no question, no doubt, I think he'll enter the Hall of Fame shortly. It's too bad that they wouldn't recognize him when he was alive, but I duly think that he will make the trip to Canton in the Big Sky this year.
Definitely. He definitely deserves it.
Yeah, he does. And he was a great quarterback and one of the most accurate throwers. And when the going got tough, there was no greater player in a clutch than him.
So true, right?
Yeah.
Talk about your experience in 2 really famous moments that everyone knows from all the films, the Holy Roller and the Immaculate Reception.
Well, I go back, when I talk to young people and everything, I always tell them I was very fortunate to play with some of the greatest players in some of the greatest games that were ever played. And the Immaculate Reception, the Holy Roller, the Heidi game, the
Right.
Sea of Hands, those are all great games. And, to this day, you talk about the Immaculate Reception, you can't tell who hit that ball first.
Right.
Of course, and Jack Tatum, I believe Jack before I believe Franco Harris.
Definitely.
So, but we'll never know that, and that was a real blow in the belly, and that was the AFC Championship game.
Yeah, you went to the Super Bowl, yeah.
Yeah, and the Steelers went on to win the Super Bowl. And that really stunned us. That took a lot out of all of us. Emotion. I've never been on such an emotional roller coaster as that game that time. And the Holy Roller was one that I was involved in too. And basically it was just we had to win against the Chargers. It was like the second from the last game of the season, and we were fighting for the playoff to win the division. And we were 29 seconds left on the score clock, and funny thing, Madden sent me in with a play, and I got into the huddle, and I forgot what the damn play was. And so Kenny had to call a play, and my job was to block the outside linebacker if he came on a blitz or a dog, and basically what had happened is he came, and I missed the block, so I turned around and said, "Look out, Kenny!" and he kind of threw the ball underhand to me, and the ball got away and was going down the field. So I started running after it, and there was this big defensive tackle the Chargers had. I don't know if you remember him. His name was Fred Dean.
I do, yeah.
Yeah, he was about 6'8", 6'9". He weighed about 330, 320, and I could hear footprints on the
That's
grass.
not good.
He was chasing. I knew he was right behind me, and we were both running for the ball. And I knew if I jumped on the ball and just recovered it, the time would run out and we'd lose the game. So I always told Madden I was a smart Polish boy from Privet, so you never mess with me.
Exactly right.
And so I knew I had to keep the ball alive, and I batted the ball towards the goal line, and I didn't know that Casper was around the goal line there picking his nose or whatever he was doing. Yeah, and it was rolling, and he kicked it over the goal line and fell on it, and we won the game. And then after that game, I've never seen them change a rule during the season. But they changed the rule after 3 days.
Really fast.
Advance or forward at advance fumble, So, but everybody after the game, everybody came and said, "Well, did you know what you were doing?" I said, "Yeah, I knew what I was doing," and I knew there was no timeouts left. So when the locker room cleared out and the reporters and everybody, and Al Davis come up to me, he says, "Is that what you did?" And I said, "Yeah." He says, "Well, you never tell the sports writers the truth." He says, "You never tell them the truth."
Words to live by.
Yeah, and Al Davis philosophy.
Yeah, exactly.
So, but anyway, that won us that year, and we went on, and I think I don't know if we lost that year to Denver or somebody. Anyway, we didn't make it all the way to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Or maybe we did. I can't recall.
Speaking of your locker room, what was it like before games being on such a wild team?
Well, we were pretty serious. We everybody would be, you could hear a pin drop. And the only thing that I can remember in the locker room always, we'd be sitting there getting dressed and the music would be playing, but then you'd hear Fred Belenkoff barfing. He would get so worked up before a game, he would be in the bathroom, heaving his guts out and barfing and hollering for Earl. And anyway, and when we heard that, we knew Fred was ready to play. So that was a good sign. But we took our job serious. We came to play. I mean, we had our fun, but when it came to football, that was one of Madden only gave us 3 rules. One was don't be late. Don't ever be late for a team meeting or a bus or curfew or anything. And number 2, don't talk when he talked. I mean, it was everyone.
Right.
Pay attention. And third one is just play like hell on Sunday at 1 o'clock. He says, and I'll give you guys all the leeway you want, but football comes first. And really, we were probably. I know back in those days, a lot of guys, players told me they were trying to get traded to Oakland. They wanted to go because of the atmosphere we had there, and it became kind of symbolic, I guess, or something. But we played when we played, but we played football when we had to.
Is it true that the Black Panthers and the Hells Angels were around a lot?
Oh, yeah, the Hells Angels. We used to, one time they were there, and man come walking out of the locker room, and he was always the last one out of the locker room, and the last one in, and he came out, and all the Hells Angels had their motorcycles that were inside our practice field, and and a lot of the guys hung out with them at night and had a few drinks, and so he said, "What the hell are we running here? A circus or what?" And so Phil Villapiano was the one that arranged all that. So and Ted Hendricks. So they went and told him what they did, and he gave in. He said, "Well, they can stick around." And so they used to be at practice almost every day.
That's something.
So we got to know some of those guys, and they were good guys.
Why was air hockey so important to the Raiders?
Oh, well, because that was cheating. We could cheat in air hockey, so we was really the best cheater. Yeah, we had tournaments. We had everything. We had poker tournaments. We had crap tournaments. We had air hockey. We'd go to this one place of questionable character to have a few drinks after a meeting, and they had a basketball and a basket set up, and we'd have free throw contests and everything.
Nice.
It was like a circus at training camp. Everybody hated training camp. We all looked forward to going to it.
In your Super Bowl victory against Minnesota, you scored 2 touchdowns. Why'd you throw one of the balls into the stands?
Well, I never believed I would be in a Super Bowl, let alone score a couple of touchdowns, and I never did that before. And I threw it in the end zone, and I didn't think I could get it past the goalpost. I really didn't, because my shoulder was kind of sore.
Yeah.
But that thing went in there, and lo and behold, Al Davis paid my fine.
Did he really?
Yeah.
Wow. Good.
So
good for him.
So I thanked him for it. And he says, "Anytime you score a touchdown in the Super Bowl, I'll pay the fine." Yeah,
as long as you score, right?
Yeah.
So you played in the NFL when they let the players play. What do you think of today's NFL?
Well, it's nothing but a pillow fight now.
Yeah, definitely.
It's I watched the officiating, and I think the officials are confused in the fact they think that the game is all about them. I've never seen, we had no rules when we played. It was a brutal game, and they would let you play. But I get very bored watching a game when the officials are taking control of it and throwing flags on every down. That's not football. It is, and football's a contact sport. And that's what people like to see, and really that's what the players want to do. The players want to play. Players play, and coaches coach, and referees should just referee. Let them play. But I'm really concerned that the owners they keep passing rules, and they keep tinkering with the game, and they're going to ruin it.
I agree. It doesn't look anything like it used to, and I think a lot of people don't like that.
And it's very upsetting to see that. So let's hope that they wake up and smell the roses.
There you go.
What I mean?
Yeah. Well, Pete, thank you so much. I really appreciate it, and we'll see you on November 2nd.
Look forward to it, and God bless you.